Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Remember how I explained that these guys operate in getting to the point Z from point A with small steps, small increments, bum, 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 bum. So now they came with another issue, and the issue is providing Ukraine with more weapons, any kind of weapons, but they will not say it like that. They will start with little weasels first, making here a comment here, a statement here, and they grow the voices, and then they say under the pressure, and then point to make it legitimate. They say, look, they said that, they said that, they said that. How many are those? 50 people. 50 people. We talk about here 350 million, all right? If we talk about the United States of America, about 340, all right? But let's go. It's just about, oh, you got those guys saying that. Oh, many people say that. We have many experts. Out of how many? Is that a consensus? So they build legitimacy, or they traction, by having these guys making claims more and more outrageous or to the point until they get the final statement. We're going to provide Ukraine with any kind of weapons they need to win. Boom, that's the final. So they started to climb the little mountain. That's how I call it from now on. They climb the mountain until they get the peak, and from the peak they get a bullhorn and say, we will do this, or this will happen. But to get the point over there with the bullhorn, with the megaphone, they have to climb, click, 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 and they will. So here, this article comes from Business Insider from August 17th, 2022. The U.S. must give, I like when I say immediately and must. All right, what is this? Concentration camp, or military? The U.S. must give Ukraine the weapons it needs to win. It needs. So Ukraine will decide what kind of weapons it needs in order to win. And Americans will provide. Now, so the US must give Ukraine the weapons it needs to win now, or risk facing a more dangerous challenge from Russia later. Former US generals, plural, and ambassadors, plural, say. Well, that's a that's a scenario they paint here. It's a scenario that if you don't help Ukraine with whatever it needs and asks or wants or demands, Russia, and this is the, as I said, the scenario, will later, which you based your little statement on what? But you see, the generals, former generals, and ambassadors, okay? So nearly 20 former US generals out of 3,955 retired. So that's 0.000. I'm exaggerating just to make a point. Okay, nearly 20 former US generals, ambassadors, and officials signed an op-ed using Biden to send more weaponry to Ukraine. So 20 people. And out of these 20, there are some former US generals, former ambassadors, and former officials. 20. Out of how many officials are there available? How many former ambassadors are there available? And how many former US generals are there available? I think we talk about at least thousands, so we have 20. I don't pay attention to the 20. You gotta bring more guys, right? Isn't that how the way it works? They wrote Ukraine needs longer range munitions if it is to stand a chance at defeating Russia. And how do you 20 formers envision a defeated Russia? How do you envision that? With Kremlin bombed, Putin hanged like Mussolini in Piazza de Milano or something, in the market square in Milano? Is that how you envision it? And Lavrov like others? His, whatever she was, I can't remember her name right now, that was with him. I don't want to say. I was about to say Carla Bruni. And that's the wife of the other Zelensky, former president of France. Unbelievable. Sarkozy. Full of Zelenskys, man. Full of Zelenskys. So they wrote Ukraine needs longer range. It needs. Delaying important weapons deliveries to avoid confrontation would only lead to a more difficult situation later, they said. Like what? Like what? What are they going to do? Are they going to want Poland to get all the Polacks in Ukraine? Are they in Russia? Are they crazy? To get 40 hateful people get in Russia, which is 140? Are you crazy? They're not going to. And then you got 40 million Ukrainians, so you got 80 millions of foreign countries, foreign nationals. 80 millions out of 100, half of your country will be non-Russian. And they don't like you, by the way. They would cut you off or down. So a collection of former US ambassadors and generals, as well as former officials from the State Department and the Pentagon, 20, right, urged the Biden administration to immediately send more advanced weaponry to Ukraine, arguing that delays risk a more difficult and dangerous situation with Russia later if it left unchecked. Again, and a Wednesday op-ed published in the Hill, nearly, not even 20, Jesus, how many are they? 17? Former senior officials wrote to Ukraine needs more, okay, we got that cover. The signatories, which include former ambassador to Ukrainian top US generals in Europe, said that the Biden administration should send Ukraine attack ATACMS Army tactical missile systems. These missiles can strike targets almost 200 miles away and be fired from the US-supplied high mobility artillery rocket system HIMARS, which have already been used to great effect in Ukraine. Alright, the much celebrated and sold HIMARS currently in Ukraine hands fire precision guided missiles that can strike targets 50 miles away. Former generals and officials argue that Ukraine needs longer range missiles to strike Russian targets in Crimea. You see how they talk about Crimea right now? Like, tomorrow is what? Thursday. The annexed peninsula behind front lines. All right. Ukraine also needs a consistent resupply of ammunition, spare parts for artillery platforms, and short and medium range air defense systems to fight Russian missiles. Missile and airstrike, wrote the signatory, among which were two former generals who served as Supreme Allied Commanders in Europe. Doing what? This. All day. Sorry for the visual, but that's exactly what they did in Europe. They did what? Did they fight? Jesus Christ. We should not fool ourselves, they wrote. We may think that each day we delay providing Ukraine with weapons it needs to win, we are avoiding confrontation with the Kremlin. You instigated. To the contrary, they continued, we are merely danger on less favored grounds. What? They're going to use nuclear weapons against you. It's not going to use Kalibr and Iskander and whatever, Pantsir and S-300. No, they're going to use nuclear weapons. Boy, this is what's going to happen. So sooner or later, just keep pushing it. You're going to get that. And then proxy war in Ukraine. It says Russia's... let's see, the Biden administration has been reluctant to provide Ukraine with weapons that would give it the capacity to strike targets within Russian borders, perhaps viewing it as a step too far in the terms of U.S. involvement in the war. Russia has already accused the U.S. of waging proxy war in Ukraine. Not only Russia. Isn't that... I think it's obvious. The U.S. has provided Ukraine roughly $10 billion in security assistance from me. And I didn't approve that, but whatever. They don't care about us, right? Like Michael Jackson's song. They don't really care about us. It's a statement. And then we go and vote. Yeah, go and vote. So, yeah, give them more weapons. This is the first step in the mountain climbing until they get to the top, and they're going to use the bullhorn to say exactly what they're going to do. And they already say it, but those are the almost 20 guys. Wait until the Biden administration will be the one with the bullhorn over there saying it. That's what they aim at. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.